and welcome to Crossfire, the show that dives into the heart of global conflicts, where nations collide, alliances shift, and lives hang in the balance. On tonight's show, we tell you how hundreds of Cubans are caught in Russia's war due to Putin's passport trap. Also on the show, we tell you about the terms and tensions of the Israel-Hamas ceasefire that is set to last for 42 days. Stay tuned as we break down these critical developments and explore their impact on the future of global power and security. It seemed like an opportunity too good to pass. Escape the hardships of Cuba, join Russia's military, and gain citizenship. For hundreds of Cubans, it was a ticket to a new life. But the promises of freedom and a future in Russia were shattered when their Cuban passports were taken and Russian citizenship never materialized. Fighting for Russia was supposed to be a chance for a better life, but it's turned into a life sentence. So now the question is, how long will Russia continue to exploit the desperation of these recruits? Find out in our next story.
It started with a promise, a passport, a new life, and a ticket to freedom. For hundreds of Cubans desperate to escape the grip of a communist dictatorship, this promise came from an unlikely place: Russia. They were told to serve in the Russian military and that they would be given everything they had dreamed of. But that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Instead of freedom, they found themselves trapped in the brutal trenches of Moscow's war on Ukraine. Their Cuban passports were taken away. Their promised Russian documents were never delivered. Now, stateless and voiceless, they're stuck, caught in a deadly conflict that wasn't theirs to begin with, fighting for a country that refuses to let them go. This is the reality for hundreds of Cubans caught in what some are calling Putin's passport trap. Lured by promises of higher wages, Russian citizenship, and a chance to escape Cuba's communist dictatorship, these recruits signed up for Moscow's war machine. For many, the deal seemed simple: join Russia's military, serve for a year or two, and in return, gain Russian citizenship, a passport, and financial stability. But the reality was far from what they were promised. Once these recruits arrived in Russia, their Cuban passports were confiscated. Russian documents were never issued, and now many find themselves stateless, unable to leave, unable to return home, and stuck in the middle of a bloody conflict. Cubans are just one piece of Russia's foreign army. An estimated 60,000 foreign nationals have been recruited to fight in Ukraine. They come from places like Nepal, Ghana, Yemen, and even North Korea, with 10,000 North Korean soldiers reportedly deployed on the front lines. For Russia, this strategy serves two purposes: filling manpower shortages and keeping domestic dissidents in check by outsourcing casualties to foreign recruits. But for these recruits, the risks are immense, and the rewards are almost non-existent. Their plight doesn't end on the battlefield. Death notifications are often sent informally through WhatsApp messages by fellow soldiers, and families who want their loved ones' remains returned to Cuba must navigate the process alone. No support from Russia, and no dignity in death. And going back home isn't an option either. Under Cuban law, these recruits are seen as mercenaries, criminals who could face prosecution if they ever return. So what's the outcome for these recruits? Trapped in Russia, abandoned by the system, and caught in a war that they never truly signed up for. This isn't just about Cubans. It's about thousands of foreign nationals lured into a promise that turned into a prison. As Russia's war in Ukraine drags on, the question remains: how long can this exploitation last?
The world is watching as Israel and Hamas inch closer to what could be a game-changing ceasefire deal. A draft agreement promises to stop the fighting in Gaza for about 42 days. In that time, dozens of Israeli hostages and hundreds of Palestinian prisoners are set to be released. But what are the terms and tensions attached to this ceasefire? Find out in our next report.
After months of relentless violence and escalating casualties, a glimmer of hope emerges in West Asia. A draft ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. But as the ink dries on this potential deal, the world holds its breath. Will the ceasefire bring lasting peace, or is it just a fragile pause before tensions reignite? If this draft agreement holds, the guns may fall silent in Gaza for at least 42 days. That's the duration of the first phase of the proposed ceasefire, during which both sides will take steps to ease the human suffering and potentially pave the way for long-term negotiations. In the initial phase, fighting will cease, allowing for much-needed aid to flow into Gaza. Israeli troops will pull back to a buffer zone along Gaza's borders, opening the way for displaced Palestinians to return to what's left of their homes. The plan also includes releasing 33 hostages held by Hamas in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. The specifics of the exchange are complex. Hamas is set to release living hostages first, prioritizing women, children, and elderly individuals. If that number isn't met, the bodies of deceased hostages may be handed over instead. For every civilian hostage freed, Israel will release 30 Palestinian women, children, or elderly prisoners. Female soldiers, however, command a higher exchange value, 50 prisoners for each soldier. But while the first phase may offer some relief, the real test lies in what comes next. The draft agreement sets the stage for a second phase of negotiations, aimed at resolving a much deeper conflict. In these talks, set to begin on day 16 of the ceasefire, mediators from the US, Egypt, and Qatar will face a monumental challenge: deciding Gaza's future governance. Israel insists Hamas must be completely eliminated as a governing force, while Hamas, unsurprisingly, seeks to maintain some influence. If a deal isn't reached within the 42-day timeline, Israel could resume its military campaign, a scenario that risks further devastation in Gaza and the loss of remaining hostages. On the other hand, failing to eliminate Hamas could fracture Israel's political leadership, already under immense pressure. Adding to the uncertainty are the logistical and political hurdles during the first phase. Israel's military has long controlled movement in and out of Gaza's north, and it's unclear how the ceasefire will affect this. While aid is set to ramp up dramatically, disagreements over distribution and control, especially with the exclusion of the UN agency UNRWA, could derail the humanitarian effort. Observers say the biggest challenge will be maintaining momentum. Both sides face internal and external pressures that could disrupt the fragile truce. Hamas has accepted verbal guarantees from international mediators, but Israel has made no promises to extend the ceasefire without progress in talks. As the world watches closely, the success or failure of the ceasefire could set a precedent for future peace efforts in the region, or mark another chapter in a long history of failed negotiations. Bureau Report, India Today Global.
In the 21st century, technology keeps us connected, efficient, and on track, quite literally. From fitness apps that map your morning jog to tools that monitor your every move, our digital footprints are everywhere. But a fitness app meant for tracking workouts has exposed critical details about France's nuclear submarine fleet. So how did a simple jog compromise national security? Find out in our next report.
In 21st century, there's an application for everything, from counting your calories, footsteps to managing your finances. Which means your digital footprint is everywhere, so it becomes difficult to conceal your position. Now, this problem is at the heart of a shocking security lapse linked to a fitness app being used on French nuclear submarines. Officers aboard a French nuclear submarine accidentally exposed vital details of their location and patrol schedules by recording their runs and jogs on Strava, a mobile app that tracks and shares fitness activities. So, how did the leak occur? Well, Strava allows users to share detailed workout routes, including location data. In this case, the app inadvertently mapped the movements of military personnel near the base, risking exposure of sensitive details about the submarine's positions. The location of the leak? The highly secure Isle-Long submarine base in Brest Harbour, home to France's nuclear fleet. This base houses 4 submarines, each armed with nuclear missiles with explosive power thousands of times stronger than those dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The leaked records included times and specific locations, information that could have been exploited by adversaries. As the French military's nuclear submarines follow a doctrine called permanence at sea, ensuring at least one submarine is on patrol at all times. This strategic posture is designed to guarantee a rapid response to any nuclear threat, with submarines positioned in international waters ready to strike at a moment's notice. But despite rigorous security measures including 24/7 camera surveillance, biometric checks, and mobile phone restrictions, the Strava app slipped through undetected, leaking potentially compromising data. Reports indicate that over the past decade, more than 450 French military personnel have been active on Strava, even from within the highly secretive base. An investigation by Le Monde reveals that many military members used their real identities on the app and failed to use pseudonyms or private settings, making their movements easily visible worldwide. In one case, an officer even recorded several runs around the dock where the nuclear submarines were moored in early 2023. Adding to the embarrassment, after returning from patrol, one officer even joked about the experience on the app, referring to the submarine as a poo box with emojis. This incident is just the latest in a series of fitness app-related security breaches. Strava leaks, an investigation by Le Monde, reveals that bodyguards of world leaders, including the French, American, and Russian presidents, also use Strava, which means that their movements could be tracked based on the app's data. As the investigation continues, the question remains: how much more sensitive military data is vulnerable to similar breaches? And what measures will be taken to prevent these kind of security risks in the future? Bureau Report, India Today Global.
Well, that's all we have for you in this edition of Crossfire. Stay tuned to India Today Global with me, Ishita Mitra, where we simplify geopolitics for you.